Fußball zu spielen, die trotzdem individuell gute Spielerinnen hat, die vorne eine gute Intensität im Anlaufverhalten haben. Ich meine, viele der Spielerinnen waren auch vor 2 Jahren schon mit dabei, als Essen eine sehr gute Saison gespielt hat. Und von daher ist das auch was wir wissen um die Qualitäten, die Essen dort hat. Wir sollten das nicht unterschätzen, dass sie zuletzt nicht so erfolgreich Fußball gespielt haben. Essen wird heute alles versuchen, um den Bock umzustoßen, und wir werden alles, was uns in der Macht steht, dagegen stellen.
Abschließend, Marlene Schimmer, Top-Torjägerin in dieser Saison bisher, fällt verletzt aus. Wie sehr schmerzt dieser Ausfall?
Ja, der schmerzt total. Marlene ist eine wichtige Spielerin für uns. Es tut auch immer weh, zwischenmenschlich, wenn eine Spielerin sich verletzt und mehrere Wochen ausfallen wird, weil das, was sie am liebsten macht, jetzt für mehrere Wochen wegfallen wird. Von daher bitter, aber auf der anderen Seite für eine Spielerin wieder die Chance, dort in die Bresche zu springen. Heute ist es Marlene Müller, die dann eine super Performance auf den Platz bringen kann und dann auch für die Arbeit, die sie jetzt die Saison bisher reingesteckt hat, belohnt wird.
Erstes Spiel für Sie heute an der Seitenlinie in der Bundesliga. Ein bisschen nervös?
Nee, also ich denke, eine gesunde Grundanspannung ist ganz normal und das gehört dazu und das mag ich auch. Aber von Aufgeregtheit jetzt in dem Sinne kann ich nicht reden.
Wunderbar. Es war eine etwas turbulente Woche bei Ihnen im Verein. Wie haben Sie versucht, Ihr Team bestmöglich abzuschirmen?
Genau, also ja, grundlegend haben wir uns auf das konzentriert, was wir noch auf dem Platz justieren können. Ist dann in 1,5 Tagen ja, eine Feinjustierung, kann man so sagen. Natürlich haben wir versucht, auch gerade psychisch die Mädels nochmal abzuholen, einzufangen und haben das eine oder andere auch sportlich noch nachjustiert. Und ja, in dem Sinne hoffe ich, dass wir gut vorbereitet sind. Ja.
Letzte Woche gab es ja eine recht deutliche Niederlage gegen Wolfsburg. Was geben Sie da der Mannschaft heute nochmal vor dem Spiel mit, um sie auch vielleicht nochmal ein Stück weit aufzubauen?
Ja, genau. Also zum Spiel von Wolfsburg. Es war eine turbulente Woche. Wir sind auf das Spiel von Wolfsburg in dem Sinne gar nicht mehr eingegangen. Ich denke, das ist auch genau das, was die Mädels gebraucht haben, beziehungsweise nicht gebraucht haben. Darüber jetzt nochmal eine enorme Aufarbeitung zu gewährleisten. Aber ja, wir haben jetzt geguckt, dass wir in die Köpfe der Mädels kommen, dass wir die nochmal abholen, dass wir da auch ein bisschen Ruhe reinbringen, dass wir alles, was wir von der Mannschaft weghalten können, auch weghalten. Das haben wir sehr, sehr gut hinbekommen. Und ja, aus dem Grund sind wir super vorbereitet und werden das auch auf den Platz bringen.
Der letzte Essener Sieg in der Bundesliga war am vorletzten Spieltag der Vorsaison gegen Leipzig. Worauf kommt es heute konkret an gegen diese, ja, ich sag mal auch etwas schwächelnden Leipzigerinnen, damit sich das wiederholt?
Ja, genau das auch auszunutzen, dass Leipzig aktuell wahrscheinlich auch nicht zufrieden ist mit der Situation, in der sie sich gerade befinden. Ich denke auch, dass jetzt ein Trainerwechsel vielleicht noch mal ein bisschen mehr Unsicherheit reinbringt, weil so ganz genau wissen sie nicht, was kommt und es wird sich ein bisschen was ändern und genau das nehmen wir auch mit, aber im Endeffekt sind wir dazu da, um uns auf uns selbst in dieser Situation zu konzentrieren, um da den Schwung jetzt mitzunehmen, den wir jetzt vielleicht in den letzten beiden Tagen mit reinbringen konnten nochmal. Und in dem Sinne müssen wir uns auf unsere Leistung, auf das, was wir erarbeitet haben, auf das, was wir aufgearbeitet haben, konzentrieren. Ja.
It has been a terrible start to the season for SGS Essen. The Google Pixel Frauen-Bundesliga's only all-women's team are bottom of the table and hoping a change of head coach can bring about a change of fortunes. Without a win since April, Essen returned to the scene of their last success as they take on Leipzig. But can they profit from the new coach bounce at Kottoweg? James Thorogood on the mic as we raise the curtain on Matchday 6 with a clash of two teams falling short of expectations. Leipzig, tonight's hosts, without a win since Matchday 1. Essen without a win all season. And for tonight's hosts, 4 points from 15 doesn't match their ambitions of competing for a top 6 finish. Head coach Jonas Steffen wants to see more threat in front of goal, with his side yet to score on home soil. A grand night in store at Kottoweg. No one panicking in the Leipzig ranks despite a slow start to the season. That, however, not the case in Essen. After last weekend's 8-0 loss to Wolfsburg left them red-faced. Kamikaze pressing patterns saw them fall on their own sword in brutal fashion, suffering their biggest league defeat in 15 years. And as a result, a change at the top. With just a single point to their name, and the worst backline and frontline in the Frauen-Bundesliga. Essen parted ways with team manager Robert Augustin and sporting director Thomas Gersner. Jessica Wissmann has been handed the reins. The unproven 34-year-old has the unenviable task of changing the negative narrative and establishing some stability. A few travelling fans have made it from the Ruhrpott. For now, a look at the team sheet, starting with host Leipzig, whose starting lineup features 3 changes from the 1-1 draw with Nürnberg. Viktoria Krug and Gina Chmielinski drop to the bench, while top goalscorer Marlene Schimmer faces a spell on the sidelines after an ankle injury suffered last time out. In their place, Luan Joly, Marlene Müller and Mai Karavaki enter the fold. Up front, Giovanna Hoffman topped Leipzig's scoring charts with 11 goals last season. She's only netted once in the current campaign. Nadina Westerhof, our referee this evening. Giovanna Hoffman and Jacqueline Meissner, the 2 captains. As for the visitors, Jessica Wissmann hasn't overcomplicated things with her first Essen team selection. There are nevertheless 4 changes to the side that started the 8-0 loss to Wolfsburg. Luisa Parman, signed from Borussia Mönchengladbach in the summer, makes her Essen debut in goal, replacing Kim Zinderman. Elsewhere, Laura Pux, Shari van Bell and Leonie Kupp make way for Julia Debitsky, Paulina Platner and Cassandra Porzi. A side that has been a bit disjointed. They've lacked synergy at the start of this season. Can they muster it up against Jona Steffen and co? It is a tough task after this abysmal start that has left them with just 1 point to their name, 1 goal scored and 17 conceded so far, Essen. And while Leipzig haven't had it much better, there are still pieces of the puzzle being put in place by Leipzig for them to maybe push up the standings this season. Marlene Müller, a chance in the absence of Marlene Schimmer to stake a claim. 4 more minutes moving forward. Nearing 130 appearances for the club, Marlene Müller. Bottom of the table, Essen are hoping a change of head coach can produce a change of fortunes as they take on Leipzig, a clash of early season underachievers. But who could get their season back on track with victory here tonight at Kottaweg? James Thorogood, your match commentator, and delighted to have the pleasure of your company. A gloomy night under the floodlights, but we're hoping that the football on display can brighten things up. 2 teams that even in the early stages of this season will be looking at this game as a must-win match. And Leipzig haven't won since Matchday 1 when they picked up a 2-0 win against Köln away from home. For Essen, you have to go back to April of this year, and their last trip here to Kottaweg for the last time they won in the Frauen-Bundesliga. So far this season, 1 draw, 4 defeats, and that's why they're sat bottom of the table. 1 point to the name, just 1 goal scored. And that came in the 2-1 loss to Köln. This will be a side short on confidence, but looking to build it up as quickly as possible in this game. Jonas Steffen said that his side would not be underestimating Essen despite their lack of success so far this season. His side yet to score here on home soil. 3-0 defeat to Bayern on match day 2 was played out at the Red Bull Arena, which is just down the road from Kotterweg. Meanwhile, there's also a 1-0 defeat here to newly promoted Hamburg a few weeks ago. As a result, they would like to open their account, but an early free kick here for Essen, who themselves notably short of goals. Platner to deliver. Goes deep and it's straight into the gloves of Elvira Herzog. Looks for the early release. Already in the opening exchanges, both teams getting stuck into some of the challenges, and El Matzi there just clipping Luan Joly. There is the new woman in charge, Jessica Wissmann. Previous experience working with the Kaiserslautern Youth Academy in the men's game. She said she was really looking forward to a new role in the women's side of things. Unproven, but SGS Essen are a club that love giving unproven talent a chance, and now the first chance for Leipzig. Hoffman at the second attempt puts Leipzig in front and adds to Essen's woes. Last season's top goal scorer gets her second of the current campaign. They did their best to clear their lines, but in the end, a scrappy affair in the Essen box. So Giovanna Hoffman keep her cool, keep her composure to break the deadlock early. I have to say, for Essen, that is a nightmare start. Exactly what they didn't need. Their defending this season has been really suspect at times, notably in the 5-0 defeat to Eintracht Frankfurt, and of course the 8-0 loss to Wolfsburg last time out. Perhaps those moments, those games playing in the minds of the Essen backline there, where they just needed to keep their cool and not panic. But there has been a fair amount of panic in the Essen ranks so far this season, and especially in what has been a very turbulent week. The ball broke there, but El Matzi just caught on her heels. And now you can see the confidence take hold for Leipzig with the early lead. Jessica Wissmann talked about the fact that they didn't really address the 8-0 loss to Wolfsburg, so that wasn't really what her 15 years. She said it was much more important to try and connect with the players. Get their minds off of what was a terrible day at the office. And ultimately clearing their minds ahead of tonight's clash with Leipzig. The difficulty now is that all the hard work done in a short space of time might just have been undone by Giovanna Hoffman's opener. Firmly in the ascendancy in the opening exchanges here. A nice idea from Vanessa Fürst, and Cassandra Pozzi will give chase, but was always going to lose that foot race against Andrea Norheim. First with the defensive header and straight out of play for a throw-in. Leipzig's first home goal of the season. Delivered by Giovanna Hoffman at what is the third time of asking after blanks on home soil against Bayern and Hamburg. Foul on Cassandra Pozzi, who lost her shoe in the process. After not one but two nibbles of the heel by Sandra Starke. And the home team, you have to say, doing everything they can to make an already miserable situation even more miserable for their visitors. Lofted long, though, the set piece. Finds no purchase. Loose ball does go the way of Essen. Oh, it breaks for Ramona Meyer, and snapshot when actually maybe she had space to drive into there, Ramona Meyer. But a positive response from the women in blue. Again, Leipzig go long. Marshalled well by Jacqueline Meissner, who had one of the worst games I think I've ever seen her produce in that 8-0 loss to Wolfsburg, but then again that could be said of many a Essen player on that particular occasion. Tonight, though, was seen as a chance to course correct, and right now the course is being maintained, but still a long way to go here at Kottavik. Last season, these two were table neighbours come the end of the campaign. Leipzig finishing in 8th on 27 points. Essen in 9th, 7 points worse off. For Essen, it was their worst Frauen-Bundesliga season since they were nearly relegated in the 2021-22 campaign. And things might get worse here. Oh, what a save by Baumann. Chance still alive. Marlene Müller clips it in. Very unconvincing defending once again from Essen. They look so unsure of themselves at the back. Meanwhile, Leipzig head coach Jonas Stefani called for more threat in front of goal. He's getting it. Here's Hoffman, the goal scorer, looking for the back heel. Well, they are enjoying themselves. Despite the slender lead, already you're seeing a couple of back heels being produced by the likes of Marlene Müller, Giovanna Hoffman. Müller now crosses into the box, but it's into the side netting. A moment of threat here. Hoffman the intended target, but again, it's very risky defending by Julia Debicki. There, the German national team head coach Christian Wuck in attendance. A couple of players to keep an eye on, Giovanna Hoffman chief amongst them. As a German national team representative, he'll be pleased to see her net a second goal of the season and Leipzig's first on home soil. Hoffman has the type of profile he wants in his lone striker, Christian Wuck. Something tells me he'll be making a bit of a road trip this weekend as well, because it's a big weekend in the Frauen-Bundesliga. Tomorrow could be classified as Super Saturday. We've got Wolfsburg against Bayern to kick things off, and then the Nord Derby, Bremen against Hamburg, in front of what will be a record-breaking crowd at the Weserstadion. Right now, Jessica Wissmann doing everything she can from the sidelines to try and affect play. But her charges having a tough going of it so far. Good play to break the press there from Annabelle Schaching. Finds Luan Joly. Back to Luan Joly now. Looking for a piercing pass. Hoffman, nice build-up play. That will bring the ball down under her spell, closed down by Maya quickly. Shifted out to Lisa Baum again. Lofts it in, Hoffman attacks! Cleared by Debicki. Doing the goalkeeping for Louisa Palman there. Again, they find a little space between the lines here, the home side. Hoffman drops deep to link up the play. And again, they're getting bodies in the box now for Baum to aim for. Deep goes the delivery. Vanessa Fürst is going to come away with it here for Essen. A lack of options ahead of her. Goes back to Jacqueline Meissner. Look at Platner then charged down by a couple, and the goal is at the mercy of Luan Joly, or so she thought. Luckily, Louisa Parman recognised the danger and just about got across her line in time. She'd offered a passing option there for Jacqueline Meissner. Then Platner lost out, and Luan Joly, right idea because the goal was there. Not quite gaping, but close. And Louisa Parman scrambling across to touch it over for a corner. But again, my goodness, the lack of defensive stability here for Essen. Remarkable, and not in a good way. Baum's corner, Hoffman attacks, Parman doesn't get there, but they are able to survive that particular scare. And now Cassandra Pozzi trying to make something happen, and well, her improvisations didn't work at the first, but they did eventually, as Luan Joly gets the first yellow card of the game. Might have been a handball in there, but there certainly was a foul from the young Frenchwoman. Might have been a hand from Cassandra Pozzi in the mix too. But Pozzi is battling. Quick throw, Ramona Meyer tries to turn it into something. The pressure forces the mistake. Cross, looking for El Matzi, doesn't find its mark. Lena Ostermeier gets it back from the failed throw-in, but then loses out to Lisa Baum. Sensed the opportunity, stole a march, and then Dubitsky with a lovely challenge just to shut the door on Lisa Baum. Loose ball breaks Leipzig's way. Flach, not an easy job there, but a crunching challenge. She'll get it back here, Paola Flach, but a foul by Meyer, stopping Essen in their tracks. Luan Joly, she's been through the walls already so far. For Essen, you've got to say, lovely piece of defending there from Jacqueline Meissner, who now will lead the charge. This is more like it from Jacqueline Meissner. A shadow of her spectacular self against Wolfsburg. And now the shot from range again. Just drifting over for the visitors. Paulina Platner this time with the effort that just didn't dip in time. It is so hard for Essen, a side that have fallen on such hard times. Right now they are at threat of being left behind in the modern landscape. You've got, even in the Ruhr region alone, the likes of Schalke, Dortmund starting to threaten their status and ultimately starting to pull players away from SGS Essen, who at one time, were the great talent factory of the Frauen-Bundesliga, gave us the likes of Linda Dahmen, Lea Schuller, Lena Oberdorf. So many wonderful names that have come through their ranks to go on to bigger and better things, and they accepted their role as a club that were used as a springboard, a platform for bigger and better things. They relished the opportunity to give unproven talents a chance to shine. And that goes for the coaching circuit as well. Jessica Wisman, just over 30 years of age, unproven. They're willing to take a chance on her. Markus Högner, the man that left the role in the summer, could look at the job as a bit of a poison chalice in that regard, because he was the most successful head coach in Essen's long history. Högner guiding this Essen side to the DFB Pokal final in 2014 and 2020. A couple of seasons ago, they finished 4th in the Frauen-Bundesliga. A real surprise package that season. Unfortunately, that campaign proved not to be a foundation from which they build. It instead proved to be more of an outlier. Robert Augustin and Thomas Gessner took charge in a dual role in the summer from Markus Högner. Unfortunately, it was a partnership that didn't really work out, didn't really seem to get the message across to the Essen players, and Augustin came in preaching a pressing game, and ultimately that pressing game proved really problematic for Essen. You've got to say some of the pressing, some of the defending this season has been close to criminal, especially against Eintracht Frankfurt in the 5-0 loss on Matchday 1 and the 8-0 loss to Wolfsburg last time out. And they've been a bit panicky at times tonight, but defensively more disciplined so far, and yet they are behind, which makes their job all the more difficult tonight, Essen. Starke can't quite poke it through. Loose ball goes to Marlene Müller. Schaching's on the move, but the pass picked off by Fürst. Nikolina Dudek, scorer of the opener against Nürnberg, though not sure she meant it. It was more crossed than shot, but it turned into a goal. Unfortunately, Leipzig weren't able to push on from there. They lacked the threat levels in front of goal. Jonas Steffen, their head coach, called for more precision in the final third to therefore create more chances. And yes, they got the early opener, Leipzig, but they haven't really pushed on since then in an attacking sense. A couple of saves for Louisa Parman to make, but he'll be wanting more still. Cassandra Porzi again, all on her own, but she finds the outlet pass to Elmatzi. Muller is giving chase. Little 1-2, Elmatzi forced wide and a little backwards. This is nice play from Essen. Shouldn't sound surprised, because this is a team that have proven many a time that they can perform at the highest level here in the Frauen-Bundesliga. It's why this shocking turn of form that started since the last time they won, which was here at Kottavik. Really is so stark in contrast to the expectations surrounding this side at the start of this season. Not that they were going to really push on into the top half of the table, but I don't think anyone expected them to have anything to do with the relegation battle, and yet here we are, bottom of the table after 5 match days, and maybe after 6, unless they can change things. Pvt with the corner. Oh, it's through the middle. Oh, that challenge had to be won, but Feldkamp was there at the second attempt. Dubitsky forced to go long, but that makes life easy for Leipzig when it comes to their defensive duties. Leipzig struggling to get anything to stick. But then Essen, when they do win the ball back, they aren't really keeping it in their ranks long enough to threaten. And while they can look for chances in transition with someone like Cassandra Pvt up front, they don't want to leave her isolated in those attempts. Leipzig won't be looking to force the issue all too much, as the ball looked to go out of play there with Landenberger in possession. Don't think they'll be sitting too comfortable with just a 1-goal lead, though. Courtesy of that woman who was fouled by Jana Feldkamp, Giovanna Hoffman. The Leipzig captain leading by example tonight. She and Sandra Starker are the new captain duo. They're sharing the responsibilities. Tonight, though, it is Hoffman with the captain's armband and with a captain's performance so far. Now Pvt. Oh, lovely play, Pvt. Oh, Elmatsi's on the run. Passes into her path. First on the overlap. Offers the option. Here is Vanessa first. Still going first. Now Meissner, can she make something of this? Strike on goal. Comes to nothing, though, for the visitors. Meissner again first to the loose ball. This is good pressure from Essen. They need to turn it into something, though. Lovely 1-2, Meissner in first. Meissner's cross cuts out, Pvt battles for it. Not many have made the trip from the Ruhrpott to the old east of Germany for tonight's clash, but they make themselves heard there. And the message in the banner hung up on the metal fence there behind the Leipzig goal right now is We for you, you for us. Feldkamp with a chance now. Has to settle for the corner, but this is better from Essen as we cross the half-hour mark. Leipzig took the lead early. The game, in many ways, is playing into their hands, but Essen are starting to come on strong. The type of team that you think just one goal could really make a huge amount of difference in just taking some weight off the shoulders of these talented players. Portzi's corner. Dangerous, and she'll settle for another. I think the ball came off the shin of Luan Joly there, right in the 6-yard box in the end. Could have gone anywhere. Portzi again to deliver. Plenty of targets to aim for. This time it's low. Feldkamp tries to make something of it. Portzi will offer the angle. Cassandra Portzi goes it alone, and wonderful intention. Unfortunately, the execution didn't quite match on that occasion. She is such a supremely gifted 17-year-old Cassandra Portzi. She has a bit of that street footballer about her, the confidence as well that can only be honed on the gravel roads of your own hometown. But a gifted technician. Has only ever scored once for Essen since making her debut as a 16-year-old in a 3-1 loss to Wolfsburg back in January of 2024. And that goal coming in the first round of the DFB Pokal this season, with Essen picking up a 7-0 win against kickers Offenbach. Leipzig also progressing to the round of 16. We take a look at the match statistics here, and well, you can't really argue with the 1-0 lead for the home side. Essen, as you can tell, still a side short on confidence in the final third, especially in front of goal. But for Leipzig in the DFB Pokal der Frauen, they are taking on Werder Bremen here at Kotteweg. Meanwhile, Essen will be on the road against Turbine Potsdam, who were relegated last season as the only team relegated ahead of the 14-team expansion we had in the Google Pixel Frauen-Bundesliga this season. There's some big names, big clubs coming up from the second tier in the form of Union Berlin, Hamburg and Nuremberg. Essen would have wanted to make a positive start to the campaign to steer clear of any dance with the motion. Right now, based on the form so far this season, they are being dragged onto the dance floor. And they might struggle to get off it unless they can turn things around quickly. And yes, the defeats to Frankfurt and Wolfsburg were hefty, but their seasons ultimately will not be defined by those particular results. Of much greater concern for Essen, the 0-0 draw against Hamburg on Matchday 2 on home soil, where they really mustered up little in front of goal, though Paulina Platner did hit the bar in that game. A 2-0 loss to Union Berlin in the capital is a result that I'm sure many a team might suffer this season. The Stadion an der Alte Försterei, not an easy place to go to. But then the 2-1 loss to Köln on home soil for Essen is really where concerns started. And those concerns were really embellished by the 8-0 loss to Wolfsburg, and as a result, the panic button was hit. Change of head coach, but right now, so far, no change in fortunes. Instead, Essen continue to take knocks, including Lena Ostermeier here, getting a knee to the back of the head from Mai Karavaki. Doesn't sit up for El Matzi on the edge of the area. It's a nice touch out wide by Meissner. Pass goes astray, but at least it's still positive play from Essen as we approach half-time. The problem is they can't turn this result around, then even more questions are going to be asked. There's a headline in the German press about Essen being the last women standing. Because of course they are the only remaining all-women's team left in the Frauen-Bundesliga. They are not attached to a men's team like all of their counterparts. Turbine Potsdam joined them in that regard last season, but that was a short-lived stint, just one season back in the Frauen-Bundesliga. And again, Essen under threat regionally, but also just in terms of some of the other clubs with more infrastructure, more financial capabilities than Essen can ever boast. It means that Essen have to be very wary of their top flight status. This is their 21st consecutive campaign. Giovanna Hoffman trying to bundle her way through, goes down, but no penalty in the eyes of Nadine Westerhof. Marlene Müller round the corner to Schaching. Not a lot of real estate to work with there for Annabelle Schaching, but draws out the corner. Deep goes the delivery. And fired back in! Leipzig double their advantage through Julia Landenberger. First goal of the season, she doesn't score often. But given the fight back we've seen from Essen, that is a killer blow landed by Landenberger. Leipzig, though, good value for a 2-goal lead. On course to return to winning ways with what would be a first home win of the season. They had a remarkable run of winning 9 straight here at Kottaweg. Coming into tonight, though, winless in 6. 1 draw, 5 losses. That might be about to change. And unfortunately for those of an Essen disposition, things continue to go from bad to worse. And no amount of head shakes will make that situation, or this situation, any better. But it is a really tough start to the season. And Leipzig aren't about to show any mercy. Quick corner and Baum whipped it in from a different angle. Now recycles it to Norheim. Now Lisa Baum has to give chase on the defensive side as Ramona Meyer is taken out by the scorer of Leipzig's second, Landenberger, but play now brought back by Nadina Westerhof. She's a tough woman to stop when she's in full flow, Ramona Meyer. Debitsky. She clearly is the playmaker out from the back tonight, and that was one of the things that Jessica Wissmann talked about, the new head coach, was at least having clarity in the minds of her players in terms of what role are they playing, what is expected from that role, and what part do they have to play in the collective performance as well. And that was it. There was a lot of experimenting from Essen at the start of this season. Lots of players being played out of position compared to what we saw from them in the previous campaign. It was an interesting approach by Robert Augustin and Thomas Gersner. Those experiments quickly stopped, but now Elmatzi's on the march. Elmatzi! Oh, that was a golden opportunity to give Essen a lifeline before halftime. Give them something to work with. Elmatzi probably didn't have many other options than taking it first time. Just didn't wrap her foot around the ball enough. And still, the visitors without a shot on target tonight. And unfortunately, when you've only scored once all season, that is unlikely to change unless they can find a better touch in front of goal. Cassandra Porzi, Lauretta Elmatzi with the best chances. But when things are going against you, then I tell you what, it can be really tough times, and right now everything seems to be going against Essen. Some of it self-inflicted so far this season. Tonight, though, it's difficult to argue that. They're trying to battle, but they're getting very little grace from the football gods. The rub of the green certainly isn't on their side. Just 1 minute added on at the end of this first half. It's flowed quite freely, very few stoppages. Just 2 goals to speak of, both going the way of the home side. It's hard not to look at a night like tonight as simply rubbing salt in Essen's early season wounds. That's a nice pass by Feldkamp to find Portzi. Meyer again trying to break in behind, and Herzog swiftly off the line to snuff out the danger. Two of the underperforming sides so far this season clashing at Kottavig, but having failed to score on home soil so far in the current campaign, Leipzig have netted twice. Giovanna Hoffman the first, Julia Landenberger with the second, and Essen a side without a win since April, hoping for a change in fortune after a change in head coach. Same old story. At the break, it is Leipzig 2, Essen 0.
Für den Fanbus, die könnt ihr einfach über die Homepage holen, am besten bis zum Montag, denn ja, so ein Bus, der hat eben nur eine begrenzte Anzahl von Plätzen. Schlag dazu, das unser nächstes Auswärtsspiel, auch das wollen wir wie ein Heimspiel gestalten. Jetzt haben wir aber natürlich gleich erstmal noch die zweite Hälfte.
Hello and welcome back everyone to Korteweg on this wonderful Friday night at the beginning of October, where we are enjoying the curtain raiser on Matchday 6 in the Google Pixel Frauen-Bundesliga, a big weekend in Germany's top flight. And we're kicking it off with a clash of underachievers. But so far tonight, Leipzig certainly not underachieving. They are hitting the mark a little closer to their expectation levels and to their performance limits, and as a result they are 2-0 up coming into the second half as they chase what would be a first win since Matchday 1, but also a first win on home soil of the new season. They're taking on an SGS Essen side who are really in a miserable run of form that dates all the way back to a 3-0 win here at Korteweg back in April at the end of the month. Since then, SGS Essen haven't picked up a single win, and just 1 point from 15 possible at the start of this new season, and they are now 2-0 down as we get the second half underway. Leipzig looking to maintain momentum and pick up a first home win of the season against an Essen side who right now are just down on their luck. They were hoping that a change of head coach could bring about a change of fortune, and unfortunately that has not been the case so far. Leipzig showing no mercy and ultimately capitalizing on vulnerable visitors. They took an early lead, Giovanna Hoffman with their first home goal of the season, the captain delivering. Now Meyer and Essen look to respond in kind at the start of the second half, and that was a good piece of pressing from the half-time substitute Leonie Kupp. She was one of the few bright sparks in what was a dismal day at the office in the 8-0 loss to Wolfsburg last time out. She picked up an injury and was forced off in that game. Fortunately, it was nothing too serious, and as a result, she was able to feature in the Matchday squad here tonight. Now on for the second half. They've won it well there, Essen. I think the introduction of Kupp will also see a change in system. Julia Debitsky is the player who has made way. She was almost dropping in as a third centre-back into a 5-woman back line. Now, Kupp is certainly a bit more of an attacking-minded player, so I just wonder whether we've switched to a 4-woman back line for Essen, made up of Flach, Ostermeier, Meissner and Fürst. Does look to be the case with Paulina Platner on the ball here and Feldkamp, the two holding midfielders. They've got Elmatzi, Porzi, Meyer and now Kupp ahead of them. Essen mustered up 7 shots on goal in the first half, but not a single one on target. Hoffman helps it into the box, and Kadavaki will pick up the pieces here. Luan Joly. Early cross, not the best. Kadavaki now has more space to work with. Just seemed to second-guess herself there, Mai Kadavaki. That's a nice little bit of improvisation, though, to find Lisa Baum. Fortunately, not a lot of space to work with there for Baum. Same for Porzi, and who gets the final touch? Throw in. Essen want it, Essen get it. Meyer wasn't quite willing to wait for Porzi to be ready for the throw, but they've won it now, Essen. The break is on if they can play the pass. And that's a lovely ball to Meyer. She just can't take it in stride. Those are the moments where they need to be clinical. And they just haven't been tonight, SGS Essen. Leipzig having the majority of possession. We talk about the lack of confidence in this SGS Essen side, though it really does show in certain statistics. And tonight, just a 67% pass accuracy from the visitors. a nice passing move, though, to put me in my place a touch. Cassandra Porzi now tries to go on the outside. Still going, the 17-year-old. Won't give up on this either. Did she keep it in play? Yes, she did. Magnificent play by Porzi. Oh, and Platner can't get on the end of it. First, now to Kupp. Drives one in, but sliced behind. A positive start to the second half from the side trading by 2-0. The problem is we saw this type of positivity when they were 1-0 down. Leipzig were able to pick and choose their moments where they really provided the threat in front of goal, and unlike Essen, they racked up a fair few chances that hit the target. Louisa Paulman making her Essen debut in goal with a couple of smart saves, but now a good press has won the ball for Essen. Can they turn this into a goal? Ramona Meyer, they're battling for everything in the box. Kupp goes diving in on Marlene Müller. They are throwing everything forward. It's a bit of an all-or-nothing type performance now in this second half from Essen. What they don't want to do is fall on their sword the same way they did against Wolfsburg in that 8-0 loss. It was nowhere near to troubling Elvira Herzog. Jonas Steffen said his side wouldn't underestimate Essen despite the fact that they haven't been enjoying a lot of success this season. He made 3 changes to his starting lineup. One of them was enforced. Marlene Schimmer was the top goal scorer with 2 goals coming in. 2 tonight. Is now joined on 2 goals by Giovanna Hoffman, scorer of the opener here. And Marlene Schimmer picked up a pretty nasty ankle injury in that 1-1 draw against Nuremberg, which will see her sidelined for the foreseeable future, and it's a big loss. Jonas Steffen admitted as much before this game, given the fact that she is such a key cog in the Leipzig works. But as he pointed out, it's a chance for other players to stake a claim. Tonight, that chance given to Marlene Müller, who has caught the eye. Paula Flach has advanced the lines a little too much from the throw-in for the liking of the referee. Maya. Now Matzi moves it on to Vanessa Fürst. Essen doing everything they can to get themselves a lifeline in this game. Paulina Platner! Oh, that's how you do it in spectacular fashion. Is the comeback on for an Essen side down on their luck? That is a thing of beauty from Paulina Platner. It's only Essen's 2nd goal of the season. It's a stunner, though. And no one closed her down. But what a spot to pick for Paulina Platner. Wow. First goal of the season for the 19-year-old. Something tells me that'll be right up there for not just candidates for goal of the weekend, but maybe goal of the campaign. Put on a postage stamp by Paulina Platner. But they've been chipping away and chipping away at the start of this second half. They've had hot shots from range time and time again, Essen, and finally one hits the mark. That, incidentally, was their first shot on target of the game from Paulina Platner. It took 9 efforts to finally get one on target, and it flies into the top corner. Now Flach sent that clearance the wrong direction. Meissner does well to head away from danger, but only momentarily. Here's Dudek, the Dane, flicking it over for Baum. Awkward bouncer just sat up, and she and Portsy continue to tangle. Dudek, though, with the cross. Meissner with a really important header at the back. Better safe than sorry, the clearance there from the visitors, who have found a foothold in this game, finally. Not a lot of time and space on the ball there for Feldkamp. Couldn't quite move it on. Breaks for Shashing, just a little too long. The outlet pass. A bit of cause for concern for Jonas Steffen. In fairness, conceding early in the second half would have been exactly what he would have warned against during his half-time team talk, I reckon. No one was pulling out of that 50-50, but Giovanna Hoffman has clearly come off second best. Went Jonas Steffen and Leipzig's way. The second half is taking a bit of a different turn. Up to his side now, just to re-establish a grip on this game. Precarious position they now find themselves in since Paulina Platner's third ever goal for Essen. First of the season. She actually scored in her Frauen-Bundesliga debut last campaign in a victory against Kaisers Jena. Here is Hoffman. Driving forward, Giovanna Hoffman. Meissner just about recovered. Kadavaki offside. He's trying to pick up the pieces. Essen need to be wary of not undoing their hard work. Hoffman! Into the side netting it goes. This is the risk, though, that the visitors are going to have to run if they do stand a chance of maybe taking a share of the spoils from tonight's game, which, given the fact that they were so down on their luck coming into this game and then 2-0 down at half-time, I reckon if you'd give Essen a 2-2 draw right now, they'd take it. They might even have taken it at the start of play, given how tough this season has been so far. Oh, someone's spoken out of turn on the Leipzig bench. Nadine Westerhof having none of it. Seemed like a relatively respectful conversation, and yet he's still trying to make his point there. Seems to be a role that assistant coaches are taking on nowadays in modern football. Don't get the coach in trouble, let's do all the talking for him. Jonas Steffen gets to be quiet, his assistants get to chirp away at the referee and question every decision, and maybe every now and again they pick up a booking for it. Matzi, such a dangerous player for Essen, and does really well just to ride the challenge there and find Flach. And then Flach does really well to anticipate Niesebaum's intentions, and that's a reasonable yellow card to give. Niesebaum using a pace, but then really hauling Flach to ground. Joins Joly in the referee's book. Oh, there's a woman over, and oh, Vanessa first. It goes for the first time effort where the degree of difficulty was through the roof, and yet from the angle we just saw that from, it looked like she actually had time to take the ball down. Everyone had lost her run in behind. And again, just a moment of composure from Leipzig, Essen in the key moments would go such a long way to settling their ship a little bit. But right now, this game is threatening to tip in their favor, but they just need to seize the initiative right now, because Leipzig are leaving the door open, but Essen aren't really doing enough and haven't done enough since pulling a goal back through Platner to suggest they've got a second goal in them right now. And reminder, they only scored once in 5 games before tonight. So to score twice in one game really would be a big step forward for them. Maya, penalised again. Ramona Ramos Maya, as she's known. A nickname given to her for her combative nature, which case in point. That is exactly the type of challenges that Ramona Maya brings to the table in the Frauen-Bundesliga, and you've got to admire it. They're not the cleanest. She leaves her mark, though. She makes her presence felt. And the amount of intangibles she will bring to an Essen performance should not be underestimated. The difficulty for Essen, given the fact that she is one of their biggest sources of goal, she is not a reliable one. This is better, though. That's nice play. Kupp out wide. She's got Portzig through the middle. Myra's busting her gut to get into the box, too. Leonie Kupp digs out the cross, and it turns into more of a shot. She wants a corner, doesn't get it, though. She got the assist for Platner's goal. This is now the second time she's found herself in a good position out wide and sent the cross behind. Got to get that foot wrapped around the ball a little bit more, Leonie Kupp. 18 years old, signed from Gladbach at the start of last season. talked about the fact she loved the fact that Essen are a team that give young players chances, and now a chance for Elmatzi. Elmatzi! Oh, she's got to do better. Almost a gift given by Leipzig, but not accepted by Lauretta Elmatzi. But this game is anything but one for the home side right now. Elmatzi got to keep that effort down. Again, for all her talent in the build-up play, all her finishing could do with improving Lauretta Elmatzi. 22 years old, 82 performances so far in Essen colours before tonight, 12 goals scored, 22 games last season, just 2 goals to her name, and that is a disappointing output, especially considering if you go back over the course of those 22 matches last season and you watch all of the minutes, the amount of really good positions that Elmatzi pops up into, like the one we just saw, and then she proves so wasteful with the end product. And that is ultimately the difference between a top caliber player and an elite caliber player. And she's still 22, so she's got plenty of time still to hit that level. Right now, Giovanna Hoffman, and again, well, this is the 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th time we've seen Hoffman go down. I mean, that doesn't look good. Oh, this is a horrible sight to see, because it was her attempts to win the ball off of Meissner, but the way she goes into the challenge, and I think it's the way she plants the left leg here, and something in that knee gave way, and that's why she goes crumpling to ground, clutching at it. And we had Marlene Schimmer pick up a nasty injury for Leipzig last weekend. And Giovanna Hoffman, in front of the national team head coach Christian Wuck, who is in attendance here at Kottaweg, might just have picked up an injury that forces her to the sidelines. A night of contrasting emotions for Giovanna Hoffman. She was in euphoric state after opening the scoring, her 2nd goal of the season and the 1st for Leipzig on home soil. And you can hear the home crowd trying to rally behind her, Gio. But they are mightily concerned about that knee, and Giovanna Hoffman, oh dear me. Unpleasant pictures. She is really in a lot of pain, and we can only wish her a speedy and successful recovery now. A moment to silence the crowd a touch here, though, at Kottaweg. The way that knee is being worked on, the way she has reacted, that does scream ligament tear, which would be devastating. Starting to become a story of the season, though, for Leipzig a little bit. So Giovanna Hoffman is going to be brought off. Delise Boboy will be coming on. Meanwhile, for Essen, Natasha Kowalski entering the fray. Cassandra Porzi, who has been a bright spark for Essen, makes way, but pause there for Giovanna Hoffman. Something tells me she's not going to be available when Christian Wuck names his German national team in a few weeks' time. Marlene Schimmer, 2-goal top scorer, out with an ankle injury. Giovanna Hoffman, 2-goal top goal scorer, out with what looks like a nasty knee injury. And I mean, you can see the bruising there. Here's the goal. Never gave up on it. Stopped at the first, stopped at the second. 3rd time lucky for Giovanna Hoffman, who was all smiles, and now that face tells a very different story. And again, it's admirable she's trying to walk off on her own volition, but get the stretcher out, my goodness. And again, we talk about the fact that this game is right on a knife's edge and threatening to tip in Essen's direction. That's another moment that isn't exactly what Essen want. They would never want an opposing player to get injured like that, especially not with what looked like a nasty and a severe injury for Giovanna Hoffman. But at 2-1 down, you feel like the opportunity is there for Essen to snatch a draw here, and that wouldn't have seemed likely at 2-0 down at half-time. Luan Jolie again. Well, she's dished a few out, but she's certainly been on the receiving end of a fair few tough challenges this evening. Kadavaki can't get the pass to go forward. Meissen just got something on it. Now Boboy has it taken off her toes right at the vital moment. Kowalski looks for the early outlet and sees it go astray. Such an anomaly, Natasha Kowalski, because if you go back 2 seasons, the 23-24 campaign, Essen finished 4th, and she was sensational throughout that whole season. She was the creative spark, she was a goal threat, her set pieces were almost undefendable at times, and yet last season, a complete drop-off. This season, not really a regular starter. And a crazy change of fortunes for Natasha Kowalski, who at one point you thought if she kept her performances going, some of the bigger clubs in German football would come calling. And again, she's one of these young players, still a long way to go in her career, 22 years of age, the former Wolfsburg youth player. But a worrying development in her career, which seems to have taken several steps backwards in the last season and a bit. Maybe now, maybe someone like Jessica Wissmann can spark new life into Kowalski. It's not for the first time tonight. The ball landing on the roof of Elvira Herzog's net, this time off one of her own players, though. You go back to the fixture here between these two sides last season. It was Essen's first ever win against Leipzig in the Frauen-Bundesliga, a 3-0 win. Julie Linden, Annalena Rieker and Ramona Meyer, the goal scorers. Right now, Flach to take the corner. Oh, the referee was in the perfect place to get on the end of the flick on. Fortunately for Essen, no one in blue was there, and here's Kowalski. Oh, nice little touch, Kowalski. That's a teasing delivery, and no one quite read her intentions there. So she often gets asked whether she's a fan of the movie Madagascar, given the fact that there's a certain penguin called Kowalski in that. That's one of the comedic favourites. Said she's never watched the film, though, herself. What she is, she's a big Michael Jackson fan and a keen spray painter in her time away from the football pitch. Right now tonight she really needs to try and paint a bit of a different picture for Essen. As for all the positive things you can point to in this performance, if it results in yet another loss, 5 out of 6 at the start of this season, then unfortunately the concerns aren't going to dissipate. They're only going to grow. But tonight we've at least seen fight from Essen. Fight that we didn't see against Frankfurt, fight that we didn't see against Wolfsburg. Oh. It's a bit disappointing from Delise Boy, just when it looked like the ball had broken free for her. Just loses the footing. Ostermeier with the flick, it goes to Baboy, who goes for the early efforts, and that one was never going to trouble Louisa Parman. Delise Baboy signed from Leverkusen, where she was an academy product, and joins at the under-13s level. And they're interesting to see. Leipzig still enjoying more of possession, but in terms of shots, at the break it was 7-5 for Leipzig and it was 7-0 for Essen. So Leipzig haven't really pushed on. Essen have improved, but again, it's been good enough for 1 goal. Is it good enough for 2? El-Matzi, that's a lovely ball out to Kupp. Leonie Kupp! Flashes across the face of goal. I don't know whether she was having an effort herself or looking for a teammate. In the end, it does much of neither. She's been a real impact player off the bench, though, brought on at half-time, Leonie Kupp. Came on for Julia Debicki. The change of system, the change in performance, and her influence up front have certainly had a marked effect on Essen, but now they are getting stretched because they're pushing for an equaliser. And the first touch there from Schaching. On the stretch, a touch heavy. As a result, Louisa Parman able to pounce. Talked about the fact she wouldn't be content on the bench when she joined from Gladbach. Kim Sindermann was the first choice goalkeeper, having taken over from Sophia Winkler after her nasty knee ligament tear at the end of last season, shortly after her move to Eintracht Frankfurt was announced. Sindermann had some good moments, some bad moments, some games to forget, and that's been the same case at the start of this season, and as a result, after the 8 conceded against Wolfsburg, Parman was thrust into the action by Jessica Wissmann. 2 goals conceded, but nothing to be ashamed of. A couple of good saves in the mix as well for the 23-year-old. Says she relishes every moment on the football pitch because, as she put it, not everyone has the privilege of being able to go pro. Luan Joly is the latest Leipzig player to be prone on the pitch, but only momentarily. Again, I mean, Meissner's the latest one. I mean, that will give you a dead leg at the best of times, the knee right to the back of the thigh. But again, Joly has, I want to say, been on the end of rough challenges from about 3 or 4 Essen players. El-Matzi, just guides away, and that's a lovely pass. This is good from Essen. Kowalski always leaning back with the shot. El-Matzi, this is brilliant play. And then gets absolutely taken out by Baum in the aftermath, but Kupp didn't quite open up for her. It didn't really open up for Kowalski, but she fancied her chances anyway. Unfortunately, as with many of the Essen shots on goal tonight, high and wide. Been a bit sloppy from Leipzig in the second half when it comes to building up from the back, and now Essen look to pounce. Platner with 1 spectacular goal. That was anything but spectacular, that effort. But Essen are really pushing for it. This is we've got nothing to lose, we're bottom of the table. We were going to stay there if we didn't do something different. Willing to take the risk in this second half in the hopes that they can maybe rescue something from this trip to Leipzig. Again, very high press. Maya forcing Herzog into the pass. Stretch it wide. Kupp loses out in that 50-50, but Feldkamp is there. Two more changes for the hosts. Victoria Krug is coming on, as is Gina Chmielewski. The two players that were dropped from the starting lineup tonight to the bench. Mai Karavaki makes way. Meanwhile, Sandra Starke gets the captain's armband that assumedly went off the pitch with Giovanna Hoffman. Meanwhile, Nikolina Dudek scored an eye-catching goal in the 1-1 draw against Nuremberg, whether she meant it or not. Tonight, a bit of a different role in the back three. Like-for-like changes. Krug comes on in her place. 96th appearance for Leipzig for Victoria Krug, closing in on the milestone 100th outing. Well, it breaks for Maya now. Early release for Kowalski, but again the pass favoured Norheim Elmatzi. Chased down what was a lost cause in the end. Ramona Maya. Not for the first time tonight. I mean, between her and Luan Joly, I think that generally, that's not the challenge just then, that's the accumulation of, I don't know how many Leipzig players she's taken out tonight. I mean, that, again, it's not a clean challenge, is it? But first into Landenberger. I don't think she can really have any complaints about the booking there, Ramona Maya. Nice play down the right. Doesn't quite break for Kupp. Meister just putting a little too much on the pass down the wing. Speculative effort. They can't just settle for speculative ones. Essen, they need to try and muster up one clear-cut opportunity, and then they have to hope that they've got the clinical touch when they do. A look at the upcoming games for Leipzig. Two road games against Union Berlin and Freiburg. The Stadion an der Alte Försterei and the Dreisamstadion. Not easy places to go to, and Union Berlin proving that they are not the normal newly promoted side that everyone anticipated them to be. Freiburg, meanwhile, pushing up for the top four at the start of this season. For Essen, things don't exactly get any easier either side of the international break. That trip to Munich comes right after it at the start of November, followed by the second Englische Woche of the season, a set of midweek fixtures. Translated, that means the English week. It was a term that used to be used here in Germany almost to mock the English football schedule, which was, in the eyes of German football fans, overcrowded. Unfortunately now, the German football schedule also requires midweek matches on occasion. Nevertheless, the term Englische Woche, English week, stuck. And we were treated to one in September in the Frauen-Bundesliga on account of the expansion to 14 teams this season, and we get another at the start of November as well. Ooh, not the most convincing defending there. from the free kick. All they get is a throw in Essen. Oh, Feldkamp loses out. Chmielinski really needed to do better in that moment to bring the ball down for Leipzig. Just under 5 minutes of normal time remaining here at Kottaweg. The Matchday 6 curtain raiser. Big weekend ahead. Super Saturday tomorrow. 2 games to really relish. Wolfsburg against Bayern. First against second. The league's best attack against the league's best defence. Bayern, after that embarrassing 7-1 defeat to Barcelona in midweek, taking on a Wolfsburg side who's fared very differently in the Women's Champions League with a 4-0 win against Paris Saint-Germain. A clash of confidence levels, perhaps. And if that wasn't enough tomorrow, we've also got the first ever Nord Derby, the Northern Derby in the Frauen-Bundesliga. We got a taste of it in the DFB-Pokal der Frauen last season when Hamburg were knocked out by Werder Bremen in front of 57,000 at the Volksparkstadion. We're going to have over 30,000 at the Weserstadion tomorrow, which will be a record-breaking crowd for a Werder Bremen home game. 2 absolute highlights to look forward to tomorrow. Right now, this game's still up for grabs, you feel, because Leipzig haven't put it to rest. And Essen are still hoping that they can find another lucky punch, like they found through Paulina Platner, the woman on the ball here. Right now, Leipzig just happy to sit in possession as they have done for the majority of this game. But I tell you what, if Essen do somehow find a second goal here tonight, Leipzig will only have themselves to blame. And while there have been moments of adversity that have gone against them tonight, this game was there to be won from their perspective against an Essen side so low on confidence. But right now, their confidence is growing as we approach full time. The question is, are they going to have a chance at a second goal? El Matzi into the mix. They've got bodies in there. It comes through to first after Müller has a swing and a miss at the loose ball, but she puts it behind for a corner now. This is dangerous for Leipzig. Essen need the urgency, though. Tired legs, tired minds, and yet Flach is not even jogging. She's walking to the corner flag. Precious seconds on the clock. An Essen casual here. Flach's corner is a good one. Well, it needed an overhead kick attempt. Didn't get there in the end. Ostermeier back into the mix. Plenty of bodies in there. Kowalski, deflection, oh, just wide. Off the head of Ramona Meyer. And agonizingly past the post for Essen. Was that the chance? Was that their last chance? It was a hit and hope moment. In the end, yeah, it wasn't the head, maybe the shoulder, the arm, whichever it was. Meyer with the deflection that took it off target. Difficult to tell, but the initial shot would have hit it anyway. is that attacking quality from Essen. I mean, you look back to last season, just 21 goals scored. It's their worst ever goal-scoring output in their Frauen-Bundesliga history. As Markus Högner put it, the story of last season was lots of fight, too many mistakes, and the lack of a clinical touch. Well, if those problems aren't still rearing their ugly head this season, then don't know what is. And if we're honest, the chances have been there for Essen to get a second. Now they got to hope that there's a generous amount of time added on, and I'm not sure there will be. Oof. Well, you know what? Given the injury suffered to Giovanna Hoffman and the stoppage we had as a result, I guess 5 minutes makes sense. Does feel generous, though. Generous to Essen, not to Leipzig, though. If Leipzig can get a third here, free kick. Easy decision there for Nadine Westerhof. Marlene Müller absolutely bundled over by Leonie Kupp, who gets a yellow card. And again, Leipzig will be in absolutely no rush to swing in this set piece. Big game for them as well, because after the win against Köln was followed by 3 straight losses and a draw against Nuremberg last time out, they needed a return to winning ways here, especially against an Essen side who were down on their luck, low on confidence, and looking for a new coach bounce. Leipzig with a chance to put the final nail in the coffin. The free kick goes wide. Got a touch on its way through, though, for a corner from Chmielewski. Unfortunately for Essen, the ball at the wrong end of the pitch. Leipzig certainly not overcommitting, not a lot of white shirts in the box. Chmielewski thought about taking it short, but with Kowalski there, is going to whip it in. Corner, 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 goal, 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 the chant from the home fans. Schaching, though, is just trying to shield the ball, take some more time away from Essen's comeback attempts. Another bit of savvy work here from Johanna Steffen, just to take the momentum out of anything Essen were looking to produce. Luca Graf is on, Marlene Müller is off. Excuse me, Annabelle Schaching is off. Graf's first involvement. Trademark challenge to win the ball. She is your typical midfield terrier, Luca Graf. Seems to have dropped down the pecking order a touch under Johanna Steffen so far this season, though. Bit surprising, given the way she had developed into a rather important member of the midfield unit. It's a nice flick on for Essen. Is there one last chance? We've got 90 seconds of time added on remaining. First gets the ball in the box, and Meyer tries to make something of it. And the referee's whistle went for what? Was it a free kick to Leipzig? And again, if so, what happened to result in a free kick? Certainly not a goal kick. And Herzog's injured herself now. Oh, dear me. Well, now, this is interesting, actually. I mean, Nadine Westerhof points to the watch there to say this will be taken into account, but if Herzog is injured here, Leipzig have used all their substitutes, because they just brought on Luca Graf with their last possible one to take a few more seconds off the clock. Is that maybe the nervous chewing of the necklace from Jonas Steffen? Because he will not be able to make a sub. He will not have another goalkeeper to put in between the sticks. And maybe all it would take is one shot from Essen in the final minute, because when this stoppage happened, there was a minute of time added on remaining. And they were breathing and sitting so comfortably at 2-0 up at half-time, Leipzig. Anything but now. Meanwhile, Jessica Wisman is just hoping and praying that maybe there's one last goal-scoring salvo left in her side. But again, they'd only scored once in 5 match days before. Tonight, they scored once tonight, and it took a blockbuster effort from Paulina Platner to get them on the scoreboard, and it's just not been enough from them since. The women in blue. The damage was done in the first half. Leipzig on course for a return to winning ways. There will still be time left on here. Herzog will soldier on. Platner to El Matzi. There might be one last chance. She finds Flach. Backwards goes the ball to Ostermeier. Now on to Meissner. The bartender has rung the final bell. And it looks like there will be no last order for Essen. Nice turn by Baboy. Again, better safe than sorry. Anywhere but the other end of the pitch. If it does go down that end, make it from a Leipzig pass. It was scrappy down the stretch. But in the battle of underachievers, it's Leipzig that hold on to all 3 points to return to winning ways with their first victory on home soil of the season. For Essen, the misery gets worse, still without a win dating back to April. And while Paulina Platner's goal was spectacular, they have nothing to show for it at the end. Final score at Korteweg, Leipzig 2, Essen 1. Well, Essen started matchday 6 at the bottom of the table. They had hoped that a new coach bounce could maybe change the narrative. And while there were plenty of positives to point to in this performance, unfortunately, the shortcomings of last season are becoming the shortcomings of this season. Too many mistakes, a lack of a clinical touch. And in the end, all the damage done in the first